up your day every day on Power 365 Radio, broadcasting from the city of Ibadan. Follow us for top-notch news and entertainment updates. Don't miss a thing. So, pick up your phone and follow us on Facebook at Power 365 FM, Instagram at Power 365 _FM. Power 365 Radio, your number one online Southwest radio. This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your number one online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power 365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Power 365 FM, Instagram at Power 365 _FM. Power 365 Radio, your source for news and insight. This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your number one online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected.
All right, a beautiful morning to you, dear listeners out there. You're welcome to yet another interesting edition of Newspaper Review, come to you live from Power 365 Online Radio. My name is Olamide Adeniji, and I will be your host for this morning. Okay, so I have interesting stories on the Daily Independent of today. And before I go into that, it's a good weekend. Thank God it's Friday. Congratulations to all of us. At least we're witnessing another weekend here. We're witnessing another weekend here, heal and hearty. Okay, so let me start with this first story. I'll be taking stories from Daily Times and Daily Independent, Daily Times and Daily Independent newspaper. So the first is saying okay, on this Daily Times, we have this first story which says Tinubu inaugurates PECC, rolls out measures to strengthen economy. Court voids Edo PDP governorship primary. Expect more river flooding. Federal government warns states, local governments. Emirship tussle. Judge restrains lawyers from granting interviews. We won't sign pact detrimental to Nigerians, federal government assures. Rivers crisis deepens as appeal court reinstates sacked lawmakers. Nullifies Rivers High Court decision for lack of jurisdiction. Pro-Wike 27 lawmakers remain sacked. Seats vacant, says opposition lawmakers caucus. Enugu government moves to regulate mining operations for environmental safety, increased revenue. Okay, so where do we start from? Okay, let me also pick stories from Daily Independent, then we'll know where to start from. Okay, this story from Daily Independent, front page of Daily Independent too. It's saying Tinubu moves to inject 2 trillion naira to reflate Nigeria's economy. 18 states FCT to be affected by river flooding in July, federal government warns. Labour set for landslide win in UK election exit poll. Many fear dead as two-story building collapses in Anambra. Senate to probe 5. They keep probing. Senate to probe $5.792 billion Mambila hydroelectric power project. Sanwo-Olu clears pension backlog, pays 2,000 pensioners 4.5 billion naira. Court orders 2 judges to resign from panels raised to probe Ganduje. Nigeria's CNG journey has commenced. Move irreversible, says Kyari. Protest against the FCC. NOA mobilizes 4,000 staff members to track promoters of violence. Okay, all right. Then let's go to Edo and Rivers Assembly crisis. That's a twin of that story on Daily Independent. The story I read earlier on Daily Times. Appeal court dismisses restraining order against pro-Wike lawmakers. Ighodalo Oge ticket intact despite court ruling, says PDP. All right. So let's quickly take a break. When I return, I'll bring you more news.
This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your #1 online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power 365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Power 365 FM, Instagram at Power 365_FM. Power 365 Radio, your source for news and insight. This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your #1 online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power 365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Power 365 FM, Instagram at Power 365_FM. Power 365 Radio, your source.
All right, you're welcome back. You're welcome back to Power 365 Online Radio Newspaper Review. Okay, let me start with this. My first story on Daily Independent. You know, Daily Independent has been a darling to us on Power 365 Online Radio. Okay, let me start with the Rivers Assembly crisis. Remember, we told you that we would always bring you updates on the Rivers State crisis. And this is saying Justice Jimmy Olukayode Bada of Abuja Division of the Court of Appeal on Thursday dismissed an appeal made by a Rivers State High Court. Dismissed an order, made by a Rivers State High Court, which had restrained the 24 members of the State House of Assembly led by Martin Amewule from parading themselves as members of the Assembly. Alright, you can pick a copy of the Daily Independent on Daily Independent page 1 on that. Now this next story is on. This next story is still on power. Is still on Daily Independent. This next story is still from Daily Independent. Igodalo will get ticket intact despite court ruling, says PDP. The Edo State People's Democratic Party campaign organization has said the ruling of the Federal High Court Abuja on the party's delegate election did not invalidate the outcome of the party's primary election, which produced the party's flag bearer Dr. Asue Igodalo and his running mate Osarodion Ogie. Reacting to the ruling, the party described the judgment as a strange development and contrary to a long line of appellate courts' decisions on the subject. In a statement, the party's campaign organization said, today, July 4, 2024, the Federal High Court. Okay, it's a long read. You may pick a copy of the Daily Independent to read more on that. Okay, let me quickly bring you stories from Daily Times. And on Daily Times, this first story from page of the Daily Times says Tinubu inaugurates PECC, rolls out measures to strengthen economy. President Bola Tinubu on Thursday inaugurated the Presidential Economic Coordination Council and launched the Economic Stabilization Program to ensure food security, improved power supply, enhanced social welfare and healthcare, increased energy production, and overall economic transformation. Okay, that's on front page of the Daily Times. You may pick a copy of the Daily Times to read this. Okay, so let me quickly bring another one still on court matters, and this is on page 8 of the Daily Times, and this is saying okay, Emirship tussle, judge restrains lawyers from granting interviews. A Kano State High Court on Thursday restrained lawyers from granting media interviews in the ongoing Kano Emirates tussle case. The presiding judge, Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu, gave the order during the court proceedings. I'm giving an order to lawyers not to grant any interview to journalists before and even after my ruling on the respondent's stay of proceedings application pending the hearing and determination of appeal, Adamu Aliyu said. We'll take a short break. When we return, bring you more news.
This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your #1 online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power 365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Power 365 FM, Instagram at Power 365_FM. Power 365 Radio, your source for news and insight. This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your #1 online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power 365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Power 365 FM, Instagram at Power 365_FM. Power 365 Radio, your source for news and insights.
All right, you're welcome back. This is still Power 365 Online Radio, coming to you live from the city of Ibadan. Okay, now this next one is very important, which we should bring to your hearing. Expect more river flooding. Federal government warns states and local government. The federal government has warned states and local government areas to brace up for increased river flooding as the country enters the peak of the rainy season. Professor Joseph Utsev, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, handed down the warning at a news conference on Thursday in Abuja. He said the precautionary measures should be taken to avert possible disasters from such occurrences. Utsev said states had been alerted following recent reports highlighted in the 2024 Annual Flood Outlook as unveiled by the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency (NIHSA). Okay, pick a copy of the Daily Times to read more on this. But the crux of the matter is that federal government has warned states and told them that it's possible that there will be more flooding across the nation. So let's all be careful. Let's all take precautionary measures to avoid any disaster. All right, so this is still on climate change. Federal government to tax Nigerians on carbon emission. The federal government has urged relevant stakeholders to embrace carbon tax to help tackle climate change in the country. The acting vice chancellor, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, said this on Thursday at a stakeholders workshop on understanding the incentives and obstacles to effective carbon tax regimes in West African countries. Alright, you may pick a copy of the Daily Times to read more on this. Alright, you're still on Power 365 Online Radio, your favorite online radio in Ibadan and in the Southwest. 300 displaced women acquire economic skills in Benue. The Samuel Ioran Foundation (SIF) has empowered 300 women and girls living in Benue State internally displaced persons camps, according to a recent statement by SIF's executive director Ngunan Loron. The empowerment is part of its equal access database project. Okay, you may read more of that story. It's also on page 9 of the Daily Times. All right, so let's see more stories on ex-CDS Luther Agwai urges collective action against insecurity. A former Chief of Defense Staff, General Martin Luther Agwai, has called for a collaborative approach to address the pressing issue of insecurity in Nigeria and Africa at large. Agwai made the call while speaking to newsmen at the sideline of the 18th Annual International Conference and General Assembly of the Society for Peace Studies and Practice held at the Nigerian Defense Academy on Wednesday in Kaduna. Alright, you may pick a copy of the Daily Times to read more on this. You're still on to Power 365 Online Radio. Like we do tell you, you can join us on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, on TikTok, and on all relevant social media platforms. You can just search for at Power 365 Online Radio. But on X, we are at Power 365, at Power Online 365. Yes, okay. Now let's go to our Darling Daily Okay, before we go to Darling Daily Independent, this next story is on Daily Independent and is also on the Daily Times. Oyo Suburb recruitment, applicants can apply without TRCN license at Dinero. The Oyo State government has said applicants without the license of Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria can apply on the Oyo State Universal Basic Education Board job portal. The executive chairman of Oyo Suburb, Dr. Nureni Aderemi Adeniro, stated this Thursday while featuring on a weekly program on Fresh FM Ibadan. Recall that the state government opened its job portal for Friday for primary school teachers from June 25 to July 9, 2024. Adeniro, however, said after being employed, each teacher ought to register for the TRCN's license, as this will be one of the major requirements for promotion in the state teaching service. Reacting to questions on the eligibility of teachers with national certificates of education, Adeniro said the Oyo State government was aware of the importance of the license, adding that it would, however, be a disservice to deny prospective applicants jobs. He added that they could register with the council while on the job. Alright, it's a long read from Oyo State here, from Oyo State Universal Basic Education Board. You may pick a copy of the paper to read more on that. Alright, so let's look for some global news. And this is saying Israel examining Hamas response to ceasefire plan. Egypt names new defense foreign ministers amidst regional unrest. Ukraine UN report reveals horrific toll of Russian attacks. And this is saying 50 die, 1.5 million affected in India's northeast floods. Okay, CBN warns banks not to reject mutilated naira notes. The Central Bank of Nigeria has issued a stern warning to deposit money banks (DMBs) regarding the rejection of dirty or mutilated naira notes. According to the bank, the directive comes in response to numerous reports received by the CBN about some banks refusing to accept dirty and damaged currency from the public. Alright, so this is where we're gonna call it a day, but before we do, let me quickly bring one or two stories from Daily Independent, one or two other stories from Daily Independent newspaper, and after that we call it a day because our day is fast spent. Okay, so look at this story. 18 states FCT to be affected by. Okay, I've read that to you earlier in the Daily Times. And then let's see. Military law enforcement agencies alight massive operational success in June. Iche tasked government to end food insecurity. And then this is saying MRA condemns federal government's threat to jail officials leaking information. And NAF aircraft bombards terrorists at Degbewa Chinene in Mondara Mountains. And let's go to the Metro corner, and this is saying proposed nationwide protest against EFCC and other NSAS violence in disguise. 259 CSOs 1. Cyber Ox arrest social media influencer Z Fancy over ritual killing allegations. Imagine. Police crackdown on hoodlums in Kano, nabbed 149 suspects in 10 days operation. Last man rescues driver, 2 others in crash involving loaded trucks. Oyebanji's aid hails police over arrest of killer squad members in Ekiti. Alright, so many stories on both papers. Do well to pick a copy and read more on this. My name is Olamide Adeniji. Thank you for staying tuned to Power 365 Online Radio Newspaper Review. Stay tuned for the Yoruba version of this newspaper review, which is coming to you shortly. Until then, until you hear from me next time, do have a blessed day. Goodbye.
Radio, broadcasting from the city of Ibadan. Follow us for top-notch news and entertainment updates. Don't miss a thing. So, pick up your phone and follow us on Facebook at Power365FM, Instagram at Power365_FM. Power365 Radio, your number one online Southwest radio. This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your number one online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power 365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Power 365 FM, Instagram at Power 365_FM. Power 365 Radio, your source for news and insight. This is Power 365 Radio. Get ready to experience dynamic energy and professionalism. At Power 365 Radio, we pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your number one online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power 365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Power 365 FM,